All right, in this video, we're gonna do the rear brakes on a 2019 Kona 2-liter all-wheel drive. So let's get started. This is 21mm lug nuts, so let's take them off. All right, now let's take off the guide pin bolts, 14, so 1 and 2 and 2. Now we can use a small pry bar to pry out the caliper. All right, now we're just gonna retract the piston. So these are the type that you have to turn and push down at the same time. But first I'm just gonna wire brush this face here. All right, now I'm gonna take a long nose plier and then grab on the two notches here. Then I'm gonna turn and push at the same time. All right, so you want to turn and push at the same time until it's flush like this with the boot. And then at the end, you want one of the notches to be aligned with the hole in the caliper here. All right, so now the caliper is retracted, so we're going to put it aside now. Okay, now we're going to grease the guide pins. So take one, wipe the old grease, and then we're going to put some new grease. So the one I'm using is the Easy Slide lubricant for brakes. So it's synthetic dielectric grease. All right, so you don't need much, just cover the whole surface of the guide pin. All right, that's it. All right, second one. All right, that's it for the second one. All right, now we're going to take off the caliper bracket. So these are 14. Now make sure you put these springs aside because we might need to reuse them. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take off the pads. Okay, and also take off the rattle clips. All right, so now this is the important step. We're going to clean the surface where the pads are sitting. We're going to clean those with a wire brush and a file. So both sides, make sure you get rid of all the rust. And then we're going to be ready to put on the new brake pads. All right, so after you're done cleaning, it should look like this. So make sure you get rid of most of the rust. And you should have a nice clean surface like this. So now we're ready to put on the anti-rattle clips. Okay, so you could put some copper anti-seize or some aluminum. Now we're going to go ahead and put the new anti-rattle clip. Okay, so they make sure they're all the way seated. All right, now for the second one. Okay, so depending on the type of aftermarket brakes you get, some of these clips might not fit correctly. So I would suggest to go ahead and reuse the old clips. Most of the time they're the OEM clips. And then when we're gonna go ahead and put the springs on the brake pads as well, so check if your aftermarket ones came with it. If they did, if they don't fit as well, just use the original OEM ones. So in this case, I'm gonna be reusing the old ones because the kit that I got, which is the Bosch rear brake pads, they did not come with the springs. So that's no problem. So all we're going to do is reuse the old springs and it should be fine. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put the new pads on. So I like to put them on the caliper bracket first and then install the bracket onto the knuckle. So the one with the screamer on the side here is going to be the one on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and install them. So we're going to go with the ears first. Okay, like so. Okay, now we're going to put the second one. Okay, now they should fit nicely like this. Okay, this one's a bit loose, so I'm going to have to be careful not to agitate it. But if you notice that they're not going in smoothly, take the clips off again and go ahead and clean the caliper bracket where the brake pads sit. There's probably a bit more rust that's still in there, and that's why that's why the pads are not sitting correctly. So make sure when they sit, they're moving freely like this. That's a sign that you've cleaned the caliper bracket well enough. Okay, now we're going to put these aside and then we're going to attack the rotor. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take off the rotor. There's 2 Phillips head screws holding it. So to take those off, we're going to use a Phillips 3. All right, so make sure you use a Phillips 3. If you use a Phillips 2 and these are seized, you're going to strip them. So Phillips 3 is going to give us the perfect fit to take those off. So here we go. Okay, there's one. There's the other one. All right, now put those aside. Okay, rotor's stuck, so now we're going to hit it with a sledgehammer. Give it one good strike here on the bottom and it should come out. All right, rotor's out now. Now we're just going to go ahead and clean this hub surface area here to make sure that the rotor sits nicely and also that the wheel sits nicely. So we're going to go ahead and clean this and put some anti-seize. Okay, like so. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so we're ready to install the new rotor. But just make it a habit to compare the old and new part to make sure they fit. Okay, so they're the same size. That's good. Okay, now we can install the 2 Phillips head screws that hold the rotor. All right, now the rotor is on. Now let's go ahead and put the caliper bracket back on with the pads. All right, now let's snug them up. right, now we're going to tighten them. Right, so what I like to do is put a bit more anti-seize on the back of the pads here, like this. Just so in the future, if you have to service them, they would come off easy. Meaning the caliper would come off easy. All right, now the springs that we saved from earlier, we're going to put them on. So they go on the holes in the bottom of the pads here. Now make sure you hold the pads while you're doing this, because the pads will want to fly off. Right. Okay, so this is a tricky part. You're gonna have to hold the pads until we bring back the caliper and install it. Okay, now you can let go. Now we're going to go ahead and put back the 14mm caliper bolts. I'll slide them up. Okay, just put them hand tight for these. All right, that's it. We're all done. So when you're done both sides or all four-wheel brakes, whichever one you're doing, make sure you pump the brake pedal before going for a drive to make sure that the caliper piston sits on the new pads. All right, all that's left is going to be put back the wheel and then pump the brake pedal, and you're all done. If you find this video helpful, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.